Hello everyone, my name is Lucia and we are here to talk about sex. So first of all, I wanted to apologize for my long silence. I have been really busy doing nothing. No. I am back. I am full of energy and ready to talk and ready to give you a new video every Friday. Woo! Yes, so every Friday I will be back in the channel talking about sex. Today, really important theme for me, sex protocol. Yeah, what's sex protocol? Can anybody explain? Okay, so sex protocol is really important, even though you haven't heard much about it, because it's important to know because you need to have safe sexual practices. Okay, we all want to have fun, we want this to be good, but it has to be safe. So that's why we need to have a conversation about what we want and what we don't want before having sex with someone new. Mind you, so this is for people that are having sex for the first time. This is for people that are having sex for the first time, but it is also for couples that want to explore new things in the bedroom and they don't really know how to bring up the conversation or how to explore after, like 5 years of relationship and doing the same every time. How do I tell my partner that I want to try anal, for instance? Like, this is something that you have to bring up to your partner if it's bothering you or if you want to try. So, number one thing you should have very clear before having sex with someone is contraception. What method you want to use, what method are you more comfortable with, and what are you really not. No for some people can be a yes for others. So please talk about what contraception methods do you want to use. Don't wait until last minute and you're like both in the bedroom and you're like about to go in and you go, oh, actually, are you on the pill? Oh, do you want to like use? No, just talk about this before. I know it's not a conversation you want to have. I know it's not sexy, but it will, honestly, it will help you so much be comfortable when it's time to go to the bedroom. You don't want to be, like really excited about having intimacy with someone and then going, oh, actually, I don't really know if, like this person's on the pill, or I don't know if I should, go in. You really don't want to have this conversation when you have already gotten naked. You just don't want to do that. So please talk about contraception. Number two, again, this is not a conversation you want to have, but it's necessary if you want to have safe sexual practices. STDs. So have you been tested lately? Are you clean? Like those questions, you can just leave them out there before you start getting naked. Again, you don't want to wait last minute until you're like about to do something ludicrous and then, oh, actually, have you been tested? Because it's just not fun to do and it breaks the magic, and you don't want to break the magic when you're already all heating up and like ready to go. You definitely don't want to do that. So please talk about STDs before. I know it's not like the best conversation, but we have to have it so that we feel safe. Number three, this is very important. So you've talked about contraception. You have established that you are clean, that you have been tested, that everything's good. We're just here like having fun. Now, what's really important is to know your boundaries. And out there, I'm sorry, I'm just excluding other people, but this is important. So you should say something before you're about to ejaculate, because if if you have had consent beforehand from your partner to come inside and they're comfortable with you, you know, like leaving your juice inside of them, then that is great. And that's why you need to talk about contraception methods, and that's why you need to talk about boundaries. But if you haven't spoken about this and you don't know the person that well and you're unsure, please say something before you come inside. This is key, okay? You can't just, under no circumstances, you can't leave your juice inside of someone without telling them. That's considered sexual assault. Second, that's something quite sacred that you can't do to the other person unless the other person has given you their consent. Why is it sacred? It is the ultimate act of creation. So you are allowing someone to have the chance to create life within you. So let's just put it as sacred, okay? Sacred, that's why. Second, you are transferring your fluids into someone else's, and obviously when you are having sex with someone, you know, like there's a transfer of fluids regardless of whether you give consent or not, because you kiss someone, that's a transfer of fluids, and then you go down on someone, that's another transfer for you. But to leave your juice inside of someone else's without their consent, it's something that needs to be pre-arranged. It needs to be said beforehand. End of the story. That's it. End of the story. And if you're a woman and it has happened to you and someone has used a condom and then they have taken it off in the middle of the sexual practice, that is stealthing. Stealthing. Well, I don't know how to pronounce this word, but I will leave an article right here that explains everything. And if you are a man and you have been doing this without knowing that this is an offense to someone, please stop doing it, and please like call whoever you have done it to and apologize, because otherwise you can be in trouble. So having said this, there's another thing I want to say. This is a little bit more fun and lighthearted. So kinks. What are your kinks? Share your kinks with your partner. If you're a bit shy to share it in the first instant, obviously let the magic do the kink. Sometimes if you talk about it, it kills the magic. I get it. But it might be a really nice surprise for someone to, you know, like get a slap on their face, or it might not be so nice for other people. So if you're into that sort of kink, share it beforehand, because it will save you, you know, like a bad surprise. It can be a good surprise, obviously, and in the heat of the moment, a lot of things can happen. But if you think this is not going to be nice, or if you're not sure how the other person's gonna respond, share your kinks and say, look, I'm into this, I'm into that, are you into this? Because it's just gonna take a lot of pressure off, and then you know what field you're walking into, and you know what you can't do, and you know where to let yourself go. So that's another one. When you share your kinks, and if you are into letting things run really wildly, then please have safe words. I know a lot of people that are into pain, pleasure, sexual practices. We will have an episode on pain and pleasure soon, and I will talk about how pain can, you know, like release a lot of endorphins, and how is this pleasurable for a lot of people, but how to have a safe practice within this, because you can, you know, like you can be into shadow dominatrix, you know, bondage, all of this stuff, but still be safe. And it can be safe, and you know, it's fine as long as you talk to your partner about it and agree on certain things. So a lot of pain pleasure practices are built around the language of non-consensual actions, and around the language of negation and around having to say no and having to be difficult for the other person. So if that's what sets you off, if that's what turns you off, and like getting difficult and having to say no and having to have your partner ask you many times to do certain things, or like being tied up in bed and letting your partner do certain things, if that's what sets you off and that's a healthy practice for you, have a safe word always, just in case. Because if the word no, it's not going to do it, you need a safe word, you need a word window, you need to scream at something when you have hit your limit. You have to have a safe word. And before you start, please agree on a safe word with your partner, whether it's window, whether it's chair, whether it's planned. Please have a safe word. And when you think your body has reached a limit and know it's not going to work because that's what you're using to let the other person push you harder, then say window, and then window will save you. Okay, you want to be exploring your limits, and you really want to be exploring your pain and how your pain takes you places, but you don't want to be found dead in your bedroom. So please have a safe word that's not a negative, that's completely out of anything sexual. It can be an object, it can be a cat, it can be the name of your godmother, whatever it is. Have a safe word for you to be able to stop. And finally, share your absolute no's with your partner. So share your absolute no's. So like we've talked about sharing boundaries, which is fair enough. No one's gonna know what your boundaries are unless you share with your partner. No one's going to be able to read your mind. I'm sorry, honey. I know this is the kind of love you want to be shown. I know this is the kind of space you want to be in, but no one's going to be able to know your boundaries unless you share them. Your boundaries can be that you have no boundaries. That's fine. Share that. Just let the other person know what it is that they're getting into. But I think it's very important to share your absolute no. So what's my absolute no? Whatever it is, just say, look, I'm into this, I'm into that, I love this, I love that, but this thing is a no for me. And don't ask me to do it because I won't do it, I won't try it. Talk about being open-minded, right? It might be that this person has a trauma with this. It might be that this person has tried it multiple times and it doesn't work for them. So if you're, like with a new sexual partner and you don't know the person, just respect whatever they're saying, okay? Just say, okay, that's a no for you. That's fine. Great. Let's just try something else. If this is someone that you've had a long-term relationship with, and they keep saying no, try figuring out why they say no. Try discovering what's the trauma they're sort of bumping into all the time, and try to come up with an alternative. Maybe try and like go to therapy with your partner to see why is this a no, or try and do it differently. For instance, if anal is a no for them because they've had bad experiences before, maybe try and educate them yourself a little bit more on, like how to have a more pleasurable anal sex experience. Or maybe try and do, a reconstruction, rewiring brain experience in them. But it's fair enough in the context of sex protocol, if they're saying no to something, is because they have experienced it, they weren't happy with it. Now, it's very important that these conversations are had before having sex. I know these are not like the most sexy conversations to have, but if we want to feel safe and if we want to have decent, happy sexual practices, we must have these conversations before we start, especially when we are trying out with a new partner. So please remember contraception, sharing boundaries, sharing your kinks. If you are into pain, pleasure experiences, have safe words, have safe spaces, or like a phone next to you so you can call the ambulance, whatever you need to do. Okay, very important to feel free to share what you really like and what you really don't like, because as important as it is to explore your other as important as it is to explore your partner in the physical realm, so in the bedroom you will explore things that when you're talking you won't be able to explore, because in the bedroom you can touch, you can feel their bodies, you can feel how the visceral reactions are coming along, and so you understand, okay, so if I touch this way they will like it, and if I do this they won't like it. Those are things that you will be able to discover when you touch, when you feel. But there are other things that are boring, and there are about setting boundaries and having protocols of decency that you must talk about beforehand, and that will make your bedroom a wild and beautiful space for you to explore and feel safe. So without further explanation, thank you so much everyone for listening. If you have any comments, please leave them down below, and subscribe and like this video. I will come back every Friday with more fun stuff about sex. Ciao.